The Home Secretary said illegal migration is making this country a more divided place. Is she right?
The Home Secretary is making this country a more divided place. She talks about the racial abuse she's experienced, and that's awful. But we know that every time the Labour government parrot reform and bring in these sorts of policies, we know that hate crime rises.
If you do this sort of thing, then the view is in the Labour Party you can sort of save social democracy, and if you don't get it right, then basically they think, Shabana Mahmood thinks that social democracy in this country will be literally wiped off this map.
Migrants aren't destroying this country. Bankers are bankrupting this country. Fossil fuel giants, armed trades companies, they're the ones that are destroying this country. And ultimately, if we want to stop the small boats, and I want to stop the small boats, no one wants people risking their lives.
You treat them as
asylum seekers. That's an outrageous thing to say. They are asylum seekers.
Why do you stop them? Why do you want to stop them?
Because I want people to be able to get
I thought we're an open and tolerant country.
safe and managed routes so they can apply for asylum, because most asylum cases are seen to be legitimate, over 80%. Nigel Farage, he joined forces with the Swedish Democrats in the European Parliament. This is a far-right Nazi group. They want to deport people, not based on the colour of his skin, but from the places that they've come from. They also, Nigel Farage talks about it being the end of democracy because of the way certain ethnic minorities are voting. These aren't robust words, as Annabelle called them earlier, or we've heard on the conversation. This is racism, it's fascism, and we should call it out.
You accused me earlier, let alone fascist, you said that I was peddling disinformation. And I think people watching this programme at home, given the Green Party are right now, to be fair, they're surging in the polls, it's important that people know this. When Zack Polanski is making seductive claims to you, it's important that you understand, before he came into politics, he literally made money by charging women on the promise that he could literally enlarge the size of their breasts by hypnotising them. His policies are even more insane. He wants a world without borders. He wants open borders. He wants us to stand down and destroy our nuclear deterrent as Vladimir Putin belligerently marauds into Ukraine. He wants a communist economic system. He wants to legalise all drugs. And in Zack Polanski's version of Britain, his version of Britain, it is legal to sell fentanyl, crack cocaine and heroin, but illegal to rent your flat out. This is the most unserious person to enter British politics in my lifetime.
OK, listen, so I'm going to start off with the hypnotherapy. Well, because not everyone may be aware of it, but as I understand it, you spoke to a journalist in The Sun who came to you and said, can you make my breast bigger through hypnotherapy? And you said, yes, and gave it a go.
I said no. And they said, would you be willing to do it as an experiment? I said, as long as you make it clear, it's not something I do, it's not something I charge for, it's absolutely
Zack, that's not true. I'm sorry, Zack, I'm sorry, I've got a correct record on that. That is not true.
And then actually, amazingly,
hang on a minute. When you talk over each other, no one at home can hear. As I remember, you were quoted as saying, actually, loads of people might go for this because it's safer and cheaper than a boob job.
Yeah, you might think defending women's rights is bollocks.
No, and I will defending women's rights is really, really important, but we're not defending women's rights. You don't want to defend them. We're in this silly culture war discussion that isn't defending women's rights.
You want to
Let's talk about the police force who are institutionally misogynistic and sexist. Let's have a conversation about that. That's about women's rights. That's not about trans rights.
OK, but actually you want to trample on women's rights in sport.
No, I don't at all.
You said you're fine with biological men competing in women's sport.
Because a trans woman is a woman, so I'm not trampling on their rights.
But
what I'm doing is defending their rights.
But the UK Supreme Court has established that a male is a male and a female is a female.
The UK Supreme Court, its job is to look at... Yeah, of course they're wrong. Their job is to look at what's been legislated for. The legislation is wrong, and we should get better parliamentarians who actually stand by trans people.
Do you think a woman
recognise they're a marginalised group in this country who are being bullied by people like you, Piers,
I'm not a
with
bully.
wealth and power, who should know better than to target these people rather than targeting the actual problem in this country.
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes. It's going to take them a long time on the National Health Service to get rid of it, but that's another separate problem that you've broken.
So you're saying 1% on those that have got £10 million assets. Richard Farley, if you've got have you got £10 million assets?
Possibly.
OK, let's say you have got £10 million assets, probably more. So 1% of that is £100,000. Are you saying in your position you're not willing to pay £100,000 into the coffers here that could help children who can't get food on the table?
Yeah,
it's about ending child poverty.
But rather than making it about me personally, because I'm not going to change the world, am I? But it all sounds great. It all sounds absolutely fantastic, because there's an inequality problem in the UK, there's a budget deficit problem in the UK. They are both there. So when you think, oh, OK, let's just tax the rich and both will be fixed. Very simple solution by someone who studied drama and ran a hypnosis business. I was a central bank economist. I looked it up because it sounds great. I looked it up about a month ago when this became a topic, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work in theory. Even left-wing economists say it doesn't work. But it'll make everyone poorer. OK, because of behavioural change, people leaving, loss of incentive, the cost of implementing it, it'll make people poorer. Even left-wing economists say that. Now, you don't believe me? It's been tried. It's been tried in so many countries. It's been tried in France, Germany, Denmark, Sweden. Lots of places have tried it and they gave it up. Hollande, remember when you probably guys remember, you might be too young, but the French were all living here because when Hollande put in this wealth tax, everyone moved to London. Everyone left. 10,000 millionaires have already left the UK. It's bizarre to say they won't leave.
People will be screaming at the TV
I have 5 to 10 friends already who have left.
0.3% of people might leave. Henley and Partners, which is what the inflation is saying based on.
Zach, how many
sell
people?
golden
how many
passports.
people? How many people?
30, you're going to let me speak?
Let Zach come in. Go on.
0.3% of billionaires might leave. 30% of doctors who are working for NHS are saying they're thinking about leaving because they're worried about the inequality and the crumbling NHS. Are you more worried about billionaires or are you more worried about the people who are actually running this country? Doctors, teachers, nurses. You're sat there saying, oh, please, think of the billionaires. But actually, this is all complete nonsense.
Yes.
We know that this has all been fabricated and actually asking people to pay a small amount, 1%, on assets
Zach, you're a
to help run our economy.
You're a politician, so you're trying to paint me as to just caring about billionaires.
I despise the politics of Donald Trump, and the question here is at what cost? Where is his respect for migrants, for women, for disabled people? Actually, this is a man who has had no respect for anyone else, and I think we should have self-respect. And actually, a lot of these deals, I think, are ultimately compromises. And how low do you have to go to do deals with Donald Trump? A tyrant who is in the White House, a misogynist, a man with deeply racist views, and actually things like the defence contracts with Palantir, who have deeply problematic relationships with the Israeli government, who are engaging in an ongoing genocide. So I think all of this, the British public are looking at it and saying to Keir Starmer, what about reducing our bills? What about nationalising the water companies?
But
what
Zach,
about doing things for British people?
You could make a personal case, couldn't you, against virtually any American president of the 20th and 21st century. You could make a case against Kennedy. Kennedy's sexual peccadilloes became legendary after his death. You could make a case against Nixon for his criminal behaviour, which ended in him having to step down. You could, of course, talk about Bill Clinton's sexual behaviour. You could make a personal case against any number of American presidents. It's about the office, surely, rather than the man or the woman.
Well, I think personal conduct does matter, but actually we should show respect to the President of the United States in terms of having diplomatic relationships with him and doing trade deals. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is the rolling out the red carpet, the millions of pounds spent on security and the pomp and ceremony during an inequality crisis